Hello, I'm Graham Dale. In a recent podcast, I warned of the clear and present danger of wokery's malignant ideology, insidiously destroying British history and culture from within. It's happening all around, and one seemingly trivial and innocuous area where this process is evident, but passing largely unnoticed, I think, is in films and TV programs. Here, British history and culture is being reshaped and misrepresented to create a false narrative. That being that Britain has been a multicultural society for over 1,000 years, when clearly it hasn't. It's a brainwashing exercise dressed up as popular entertainment. The BBC in particular, but not exclusively, are complicit in this process through their policy of colourblind casting of actors. It's one thing to cast a fictional character as being of any race the author or director pleases, but not where a character is a known white historical figure of British history. For example, a non-white actor was cast as Isaac Newton in an edition of the BBC's Doctor Who. It may seem petty and trivial to reference this on an individual basis, but cumulatively it's not. It's part of a pattern, and it's the drip, drip, drip of what's effectively propaganda subliminally being assimilated. Further examples from the BBC include The Mirror and the Light, Hilary Mantel's final novel in the trilogy surrounding the rise and fall of Thomas Cromwell and the goings-on of the Tudor court, where they've cast non-white actors to play known white aristocrats in Henry's court. And in their series The King and Conqueror, set in Anglo-Saxon England, they cast non-white actors as Anglo-Saxon noblemen. The Netflix period drama Bridgerton also cast non-white actors in a number of historic white roles. The trend of colourblind casting isn't confined to television. The 2018 film Mary Queen of Scots included non-white actors as nobles in both the Scottish and English courts of the 16th century. It's claimed that it's the actor's performance which is important and not their skin colour. And we should accept a non-white actor playing, for example, Henry V, as in fact has happened in the theatre. But let's for a moment put the boot on the other foot. I can well imagine the furore should a white actor be cast to play, I'll say Martin Luther King or Barack Obama or even Muhammad Ali. Should this absurd proposal ever be made, it would rightly be regarded as complete and utter nonsense, causing incredulity, anger, and annoyance within the black community. Why have I raised this nonsensical scenario? My motive is simply to express how parts of the wokerati-controlled film, theatre, and other media are attacking and undermining British history and culture through the deliberate misrepresentation of a historic multicultural society that simply did not exist. Is their motive to deceive both the white and non-white members of our society into thinking that Britain has always been multicultural when demonstrably it hasn't? If social engineering isn't the motive behind all this, it's perfectly legitimate to ask why the movers and shakers at the BBC and elsewhere haven't had the courage or indeed idiocy to cast a white actor to play a notable black character. The chances of this happening are zero. But if it did, I would object to it, just as I am now, because it would be a misrepresentation and insult to black history, culture, and achievement. Strangely enough, there's not much history of white actors playing black characters. The exception is, of course, Shakespeare's The Tragedy of Othello, the Moor of Venice, to give it its full title, where the male lead Othello has been played by many blackface white actors. As Othello is described by Shakespeare as a Moor, blacking up for the part was intended to bring authenticity to the role, which at the time wasn't considered crass racial insensitivity, as it is now perceived through our 21st century mores. There are many excellent black actors who've played Othello, going back as far as 1825 and the African-American actor Ira Aldridge, right through to the modern day with Denzel Washington and others. It might cause some to balk. Facts that don't fit the entrenched prejudices often do, but it is worth noting that Othello was not a black African, but as Shakespeare describes, a Moor, which at the time the play was written and set refers to the Arabs of North Africa. And to this extent, black actors are equally miscast as white actors who blackface to play the part. The only instance of which I'm aware where a black actor white-faced to play a white character was in the 1970s film comedy Watermelon Man. This was, however, a comedic satire on racism in American society and was not intended to misrepresent the historic culture of a nation, unlike the colourblind casting of the BBC and others. Just as we now rightly consider that a historical or fictional black character should be played by a black actor, what different criteria is applied when black actors are cast to play historical or fictional white characters? I mean, it can't be to give work to underemployed black actors, which would be patronizing, racist, and insulting. No, I think the term gaslighting comes to mind in the sense of manipulating reality to create, I don't know, the oxymoron of a false truth. This trend has even infected children's books. An illustrated book targeted at 7-year-olds entitled Brilliant Black British History, published by Bloomsbury and promoted by the charity The Book Trust, which is taxpayer funded, by the way, by the Arts Council, claims that Stonehenge was built when Britain was a black country. The book maintains that Britain was a black country for more than 7,000 years before white people came. And during that time, black people built Stonehenge. The book also maintains that Britain has been a black country for much longer than being white. The author of this egregious drivel is Atunuke, a Nigerian-born writer who claims that the very first Britons were black. Her contention that black Africans colonized Britain, and I assume the rest of the Western Europe, can only charitably be based on Atunuke's misunderstanding of the evolution and spread of Homo sapiens out of Africa. A simple question to ask Atunuke would be, if black Africans originally colonized Britain thousands of years before the arrival of white-skinned migrants, what happened to them? Where did they go? The book is a good example of wokeism that's colonizing our schools and is clear evidence of brainwashing young, impressionable children with outright lies and misinformation. Some might think that casting black people to play white historical figures and the misrepresentation of evolutionary facts to early learning children is just a harmless, inconsequential recognition of the multicultural society that Britain now is. This is dangerous nonsense. For me, the factual truth and accuracy of information, particularly when presented to children in their formative years, is absolutely essential. They must not be brainwashed by the manipulative ways of the wokerati in pursuit of their malign agenda, the destruction of Britain, British history, and British culture. Too much British history has already been rewritten and manipulated, to the point where pride in our nation and its achievements has been seriously undermined, particularly amongst the young. Why do we put up with this nonsense? We need a serious, concerted effort to fight this contagion, to stop and reverse it before it's too late, to save the soul of our country from destruction. Thank you for listening.